And Fernando, before we actually get into the show, one big question I've been wanting to ask you because, usually I'm the one that's a TikTok star delivering all the great content on TikTok, but now you're over here. Actually, you're even IG viral. You got a video that had like 4 million views on TikTok. You got a video of 5 million views on Instagram. How do you do it, man? How are you such a rock star when it comes to TikTok?
Right.
And I saw your followers went up pretty heavily too the other day.
Yeah, on TikTok. I was at 1,400 or 500, and now I'm at 4,000. So that was that was a pretty significant jump. So yeah, I had to ask him about Oscar. Berlanga was the one that I talked all the week, and then like Oscar even said, "You're talking about me. You should be focused on Canelo." Like, I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, I asked him about. I didn't think he was gonna answer my question, but I saw the dude going the whatever, yeah, that shit, whatever it is. And so so I was like, oh, perfect. He's in a good mood. You could tell though his mood changed when I asked him about Oscar De La Hoya. Like he was kind of like, ¿Pa qué lo queremos aquí? And I just started laughing.
But even that was like a funny, good response.
I know.
He's been on it, man. This his
English has gotten like we both mentioned it on Saturday. There's been times where you're like, oh, he's not going to answer this in English, and boom, he answers it. And I'm like, wow.
Actually, I don't think he said once, "Hey, what do you say?" Like usually he asks every now and then, "Hey, what was that?" Or can you translate? Well, I guess
maybe sometimes he can't hear.
Yeah, that too. But like this second phase of Canelo's career, like I think a lot of people are really liking it because
whoever got in his ear and told him start speaking English and curse,
supposedly,
maybe. Well, De La Hoya took credit for it. One day, I hope we get big enough to where we could have a sit down with both of them and just be like, "Hey, what happened? Where did the divorce go wrong? Where did this marriage go wrong?" But yeah, I just decided to ask him. And by the way, I'm so happy. Well, I'm kind of proud of Canelo in one aspect. He's never uses the language barrier to like when he said that. Oh, Berlanga hit like his son. He could have easily have come out and been like, "Oh no, like I didn't mean it like that" or whatever. Canelo owns it. He's like, "Yeah, I said that," and so I am very.
Even when I remember Caleb Platt called him an MFer, and he's like, "Oh, I thought he was talking about my mom."
Oh yeah, that's the beginning. That's when he first started speaking English. So that
great.
was
that sold the fight. They were like rivals, and then he explained after, "Hey, that's just the phrase that people say in English." And he's like, "Oh, I got it." And then he's always like, I don't know if you saw the media tour or whatever. He got a bunch of interviews before the fight to sell the fight, and a lot of people ask him these questions. Hey, what are your favorite curse words? And he keeps saying "dumb B." That's his favorite word, and mother effer now that he knows. But yeah, this English Canelo, man, he's a heel, and I like it because he was kind of like this. It's kind of like that Roman Reigns effect, where like people brought him up to be a star and a baby face, and he kind of wasn't. People weren't feeling it, and then just naturally became a heel, and he's really authentic about it, and I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I definitely do, and I think it's smart. I mean, now he's been on Corona commercials. He's been on other commercials where you're like, oh wow, and speaking English. So you're like, oh wow, okay, there you go, Canelo, like little by little, but yeah, no, I definitely was impressed with his media after.
Sorry, one more. I got stuck on TikTok watching all these Canelo videos in English, and I don't know if you've seen this one, Fernando, but there's this DJ in LA. Maybe you probably know who he is, but Big Boy from Big Boy's Neighborhood.
Yeah, Big Boy.
Yeah, where he was talking to Canelo, and you got to watch it. I can't say half of the story on here, but on YouTube. But apparently, he had an issue with his cup, and he asked one of his boys from his corner to help him rearrange the cup, and he had to, whip it out, and what Canelo was saying
during a fight.
No, like I think they're in training or something where he had to pee and he already had the cup. So I think it was before a fight, and he was all with the gear set up, and he couldn't really. Oh, he had the gloves on. Yeah. So he needed to pee though. So if you find that video, man, it's freaking hilarious the way those two are going back and forth with the jokes about the poor guy who needed to help out Canelo with his whatever. I'm going off the rails, but
did you do it?
Hilarious. I don't know, but I'm not gonna give away the story.
My salary.
Yeah, I was gonna say. One of the jokes that he had about compensation was pretty hilarious. But this Canelo, man, he doesn't even care. He's talking about his freaking thing where his friend is helping his thing. It's like, I don't know. I'm going too far into it, but it was a hilarious story. Go ahead.
So obviously Canelo ended up. The question was, what round would Canelo knock out Berlanga in? And he knocked him down in the fourth round, third round. And then after that, everybody's like, oh, here it comes. Oh, here it comes. Even the people around us, here it comes. Here it comes. It did not come. Canelo goes a distance, and there were questions after, which Canelo got a little bit testy about not knocking out the Berlanga, but especially because I think the question is fair, especially because during his media tour, he did say, oh, I carried Munguia during the whole fight. Why would you say that? Like, if it's not true. So I get the questions. I get why they asked him, like, did you carry Berlanga or what's, or can you just knock him out anymore? But Gilbert, just first off, what was your biggest takeaway from the fight?
You know what? I could start with that because I don't think Canelo's gonna say that he carried Berlanga, but he is criticizing his power and like he hits like my son. So I think Berlanga is just a bigger guy, and I was saying that
he went up 25 pounds.
Yeah, he's a massive dude. He's like even seeing him in the ring, I think I even told you, like, man, he looks big in the ring. So, but that's not really gonna matter when you don't have that much skills but I think Canelo is just a smaller super middleweight. He came up from junior middleweight, so that's 2 weight classes. He's a naturally a smaller guy than these guys at 168 pounds, especially Berlanga, who might make it a 175 eventually. He's an easy 175 guy, but I think he's just bigger, so he's able to absorb a little more. That's why I think after the third round, he kind of just shook it off. Okay, cool. Like again, he's like Frankenstein. He's gonna keep coming at you a little slow. But I don't think Canelo has enough power to bring down a guy of that size. But other than that, Fernando, like it felt like the same Munguia fight. Like remember Munguia got dropped maybe the fourth or fifth round, fourth round. So again, I kept saying Berlanga is not on the level of Munguia. It felt like this is more of a mismatch, but Berlanga had a heart, but it's also interesting that Canelo said that when he said he hits like my son, and I was expecting more of a power fighter or more of an exciting fight, but he was defending himself a lot, which I don't think he did to that point where it was boring. But Munguia just threw a lot more punches, and that's why he took a little more of a beating than Berlanga. But Munguia has better combinations and punches, and Berlanga doesn't have that in his arsenal. He doesn't have the skills of combinations, and trying to cut the ring. He's more like, all right, let me do this and let me do that. And there was times where he got in trouble swinging with the wide hooks there, and Canelo will catch him on an uppercut or some body shots. But to his credit, good chin. He absorbed it. He was really mad at himself when he fell in the third round doing this. And then he got up very quickly. So I think that tells me that he was more shocked and he adjusted. So same thing to Munguia with Berlanga. A lot of credit for going 12 rounds. I even made the joke, Fernando. He's going to tell his buddies for the next 20 years, I went 12 rounds with Canelo. He just didn't do much for me. It wasn't a boring fight either. I think the way he sold the fight. I kind of admire the trash talking. You can't. I think in that press tour, the part 1 in New York, he was too much of like, yeah, that's my idol. I can't believe I'm here. And LA, he just became F it. I don't care. Like I'm gonna sell the fight and I'm gonna be a heel here. And I thought maybe Canelo appreciated that. That's why those guys hugged each other at the end. They knew it was a business. It's all trash talk. I know that one question of like, what do you say? ¿Qué pasó con eso when se abrazaron? That felt like it's more like, yeah, like you guys were talking crap and then you were hugging. I know you have a problem with that, Fernando. I know you do. I don't really care in the fight game. You guys went at it for 12 rounds. You beat each other up. You handle it like men in the ring. After that, go have a beer. But other than that, there's not really much to say here. I think Canelo dominated the way he did. Maybe a knockout would have been nice now. But Canelo, this 1 year off that you kind of took off with Munguia and Berlanga, 2 guys were not on your level. Can you get guys on your level now? That's where I do criticize Canelo. But that was a fun event for me, Fernando. So I'm not going to be too critical. And it was more like a tune-up without the knockout. But 2025, please have some better opponents and guys who actually have a chance to beat you.
Well, and Canelo told us that he probably won't be coming back till May. So that'll be something interesting to see. But yeah, no, I do have a problem with it. Like, I hate all this. You talk shit leading up to the fight and then you hug it out. Like, that to me is just, I hate that stuff. Like, I want Conor McGregor versus Khabib. I'm sorry. That's what I want. I want bad blood.
What, a brawl after the fight?
No, not a brawl, but I just want like crap talking after and all that. So I just,
you want a trolley being thrown at the bus and then getting sued later?
Something. Give me something like, and then especially after the cheap shot, I thought he would, not cheap shot, but like you have to keep your hands up.
Yeah.
But I thought like maybe, and then he even did the whole DX like
like twice.
Yeah, exactly. So, But obviously, none of that happened. And then obviously, the biggest conversation after is who's Canelo going to fight next. And interestingly enough, now I saw, Gilbert, where they were talking why people asked him about Terence Crawford and all that. Well, here's the video of Terence Crawford live on his Instagram.
I mean, Kendrick Lamar?
Or, yeah, Kendrick Lamar. I'm like, what?
Tell him we going for Canelo next. Yes. Canelo, come on. You heard it from him. We are ready.
So obviously, in that aspect, Canelo was asked about Terence Crawford. Canelo said, if they can get to my price, then yeah, I'll do it. And Canelo was asked, would you go overseas? He says he really wants to fight in Japan. So
yeah,
that would suck for us, but because we couldn't go out there and cover his fight. But they asked him if he would fight in Saudi Arabia, and he said if they get to my price. So I think to fight Crawford, it would be about, for Benavidez or Crawford, it would be about 200 million. And to go to Saudi, I think they'd have to give him 300 million. I think that's what Canelo's gonna want. Like, I truly do think that's something that he would ask for 200 to 300 million to go out to the Saudi. But I don't know, because then he's talking about Bivol. I truly do not believe he's gonna fight Bivol. Like, I think that one, you already lost to him once, and you were what, 2-3 years younger there, like,
yeah,
wasn't he? So
yeah, but I think he gave himself a way out because he said he'll fight Bivol if he beats Arthur Beterbiev, which is a very difficult fight, 50-50 fight. So there's a high chance he might not beat him. So it's called, okay, I was gonna fight him, but he lost the fight, so it's kind of like a little way out there. But I wouldn't mind seeing the fight again, Fernando. But it's because it's a guy that he could definitely beat. But one thing that Bivol's been pretty adamant about, he keeps saying, like, I don't want to fight Canelo at 175. Like, he feels like he dominated him so much that it's not a challenge. He wants to take the weight cut and go to 168. And Canelo's saying, nah, I want to make my L right at 175. So I don't even know they're gonna get the contract right there. But money talks. You never know. But I have a feeling for now that it might not be Bivol. It might not. Definitely won't be David Benavidez. I don't think it's gonna be Terence Crawford. It might be some nobody guy and go fight or me, but he might go fight in London. And I think the name that almost happened this time around was Chris Eubank, and he is not a good fighter. He's not even, I think Berlanga is better. I'm glad that they gave Berlanga the fight, but Eubank is more of I don't know. He's a name in the UK, but he's really not a good fighter. And if you could
they would go do it in the UK for what?
Yeah, because that guy doesn't sell. Nobody really. I'm not even sure that's his name. I'll Google it, but it is. I think it is Chris Eubank. His dad was famous. His dad was pretty good, and he is a talker, and people in the UK know him. But in the States, nobody really knows the guy. He almost fought Triple G for a bit, and I think something happened with the negotiation. So he had a name floating around for a bit. And when it came to the sources, and people were saying it's either him or Berlanga, I'm like, I thought it was kind of like a ploy to make Berlanga look better because that's how bad the fight is. But he could be an option in the UK. I don't want to butcher the guy's name, but he's like a mandatory for one of Canelo's belts. It's Christian Mabili. He's actually a decent fighter, but not a name at all. And before, I think I cut you off, my bad, Fernando, but I wanted to mention that supposedly, I don't want to believe everything I see on social media, but I guess the early numbers are that this event got 700,000 pay-per-view buys, which is pretty good nowadays in the legal streaming era. And if you get close to 1 million buys, you did pretty well. So, hey, credit to Berlanga for selling the fight and getting intrigue here because 700,000 pay-per-view is much more than.
They're not going to let him go to the UK then if he sold that much.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, hey, people are probably saying, hey, Canelo still has a pay-per-view. You just got to fight the guy.
Yeah,
you got to fight a guy who knows how to sell a fight or a guy who has a name and an intriguing kind of a fight.
Just fight Benavidez. Like, let's just get it over with. Like, I just want to see that.
That's the name that all the old Mexicans bring up. Like, hey, or even our freaking Uber driver was like, hey, he got the name wrong. He's like, hey, he should fight that Benitez guy. Like, that would be a great fight. But the old heads like it, and they know this guy's a monster. So that would be a great fight.
Yeah, no, just do it. I mean, if you're talking about Bivol, you might as well just fight Benavidez. Like, what are we doing? So, yeah, it's just dumb. Guys, don't forget, after the show, we will be jumping on and talking NFL talk. So make sure you guys are tuned in. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. I just don't get Canelo. I mean, I bet you somebody would offer him 150 to 200 million for there you go, for Viva Canelo. Thank you so much for being here. Boxing Magic Mexican side, or Mexico side. So my question is, just if somebody offered him 150 to fight Benavidez, do you think he does it?
Yeah, like obviously you kind of have your price pretty high, and then you get there. That's way too high. Like it's not the Mayweather days, and it's not. It's a good fight, but it's not that big of a fight because, as you know,
I think people would tune in.
Yeah, but
Canelo's at the point now where people tune in because they want to see him lose. A lot, not everybody, but like I'm saying, half of the people want to see him win, half of the people want to see him lose.
Man, I'm actually very surprised how beloved he is now. But obviously, there's still that audience in Mexico, the older generation, that can't stand him from his first part of his career. But the Mexican Americans really like him, like the ones who understand the challenge of having to speak a different language, like the Pocho kids trying to speak Spanish, Canelo trying to speak English. I think they relate to each other. And
Except
for some reason,
Canelo actually did do it, and these guys
so some people.
don't.
Hey, by the way, is it Camila Fernandez, the daughter of Alejandro Fernandez, who sung the national anthem? I don't know if you follow Fernando, but really? When we were talking, we were kind of like, it wasn't that great, right? So it was a big conversation on Mexican social media, and
really?
so apparently she botched one of the lines on the anthem.
I thought so too. I thought she had.
So I went on social media, and when they were doing the side by side on the pay-per-view, Canelo caught it when she messed up, and he did a face. He's like, so they kind of put more eyeballs on Camila Fernandez. But then you know how he was doing that walkout from his press conference?
Yeah.
That one part with everybody talking, asking him questions. Somebody asked a question saying, hey, you know, what do you want to say to Camila Fernandez after messing up the anthem? And he's like, hey, we're all humans here, man. Like, people get it wrong. I bet most of you guys here don't even know the first paragraph of the anthem. I'm like, oh yeah, probably. So I didn't even know where she messed up until I went back and I looked it up. But you probably know half the words. But yes, to your point, Fernando, most of us don't even try. I think I'm okay. If you kind of rate me, I'll give me a 6 out of 10. But there's some people who would get like a 2 or 3.
No, yeah, I went to school.
You're 8.5. I'll give you that. You're like a 9.
I went to school in TJ, so we used to do the national anthem in Spanish every single day when we got to school. So we had to know that. Oh hell, there's people here that don't even know the American national anthem. They should be taken out.
If I hear,
not taken out like
oh yeah, but
yeah,
to some dictatorship country.
Yeah, exactly, America. And he does bring, well, for sure not the Canelo days, or not the Mayweather days, the Canelo days, and there's more money in the sport now. There's a lot more money because of all the sponsorship opportunities and all the different stuff that boxers can now do outside of boxing. I mean, George Foreman struck gold when he did the grill and everything, but now there's way more opportunities, not just by the way, I'm surprised that his story is not talked about more in, like, everybody obviously mentions all the other greats, but that guy to take 10 years off, and to come back into the sport and dominate it, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
The diehard fans definitely know the story. I was fascinated with the whole, like, him fighting Ali. And then, like, I remember even watching the Ali movie with Will Smith. I looked up everything that happened between his retirement to coming back, and I'm like, whoa, he came back at 43. And then I saw the movie. It wasn't the best movie, but I'm a nerd for history and boxing like that. So
I liked his movie.
I enjoyed it. Just to learn about it, and people should know his story. So I'm with you with that.
The one where he goes underneath the house and he puts the dog shit on his face, like that was
that's
crazy.
wild. Yeah.
Or not dog. No, it wasn't dog. It was just like he pooped from like the house.
So the dog couldn't smell him.
Yeah. So that was crazy for sure. So just to like wrap this up, so who do you think he fights in May?
Well, I just didn't sound right, but the name is Chris Eubank Jr., his dad's senior, and I don't know, like, just the way Canelo went about this year, it doesn't give me. I don't feel good about him fighting like a Benavidez or Bivol, or even Crawford. I don't even want to see Crawford Fernando. It will be a spectacle for sure. It will definitely get over 1 million pay-per-view buys, I think. So there is money to be made and less risk there, but it might be kind of a crappy fight in May, and then he'll have like a big step-up fight in September. But at some point, you know, we're gonna get into the Noche Buena, Noche UFC, whatever the heck it's called. And I'm going to talk about Canelo's star power, but he's getting to those kind of final years where, like, you should consider maybe passing the torch to somebody and giving somebody an opportunity to kind of
There's
step up.
nobody there.
Where Berlanga thinks he's going to, take on the torch.
Oh
there,
my! I couldn't even believe that.
But yeah,
Athir, how are you doing? We appreciate it. We're gonna talk NFL at 7:05, 7:10. Dan and Dago will be here. Vic, the producer. I know you were looking for Vic on Sunday, Athir, but he will be there later at 7 o'clock. So we will be making the jump over there in a bit. I'll hold out. I'll be the voice of reason. I think he fights one of those three. I'll say
Crawford, Bivol, or Benavidez.
Yeah. If he's taking that much time off, it makes me think that obviously he wants to get a little bit away, but also he's gonna fight one of those three. I think enough time is gonna happen. Something's gonna happen to where the problem is too, Canelo never goes to fights. He's never there. Like the only time he ever was there was for Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, he was there to support somebody who was working with Eddie Reynoso. He'll go.
He does not go and he does not support. So that's the only thing that kind of sucks because I would love to see like him at a fight and then Benavidez. By the way, Benavidez was not at this fight, which I was a little disappointed at. I think
he's moved on. I think he gets the hint there.
Oh, you think so?
He's definitely the least likely to get the fight. I think he's gave up on that, which I don't blame him. It's kind of like the Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor. You got to move on eventually.
I wish he would do it.
And real quick, I'm not sure I believe everything I see, but Canelo got a $30 million purse and Berlanga only $700,000, not even $1 million. And that kind of tells me why he got the fight. He was like, I'll take it. I don't care what you pay me. But he's going to get more from the pay-per-views because he sold it pretty well. I'll give him credit for that.